In the world of football, there are few accolades more prestigious than the Ballon d'Or. Winning it places a player among the elite, forever etching their name into football history. Over the decades, legends like Johan Cruyff, Lionel Messi, Karim Benzema, and Cristiano Ronaldo have all had their moments of glory. But there's one name missing from that list: Pele. Despite being widely regarded as one of the greatest players to ever grace the sport, Pele never won a single Ballon d'Or. But why? The answer lies in the rules at the time. Until 1995, the award was only open to European players, meaning players from South America, no matter how talented, were excluded. Pele, who played his entire career in Brazil, never had a chance. But here's the question. If the rules had been different, if Pele had been eligible, how many Ballon d'Ors could he have won? In this video, we'll take a look at Pele's legendary career, compare his achievements with actual winners of those years, and explore how many times he might have been able to lift football's most prestigious individual trophy. To understand why Pele never won the Ballon d'Or, we need to go back to the award's origins. Established in 1956 by France Football, the Ballon d'Or was designed to recognize the best European footballer each year. At the time, European football was seen as the pinnacle of the sport, and players from South America, despite their immense talent, were largely overlooked. This rule meant that Pele, who spent almost his entire career playing at Santos in Brazil, wasn't even eligible to compete for the award. It wasn't until 1995 that the rules changed, allowing non-European players to be considered, provided they were playing for a European club. Unfortunately for Pele, by that time, he was long retired. During his peak years in the late 1950s through the early 1970s, Pele dominated world football like few others. Had he been eligible, there's no doubt he would have been a serious contender, if not the outright favorite, for multiple Ballon d'Ors. But how many could he have realistically won? Let's break it down year by year. Pele's career spanned nearly 2 decades, and there were several standout years where his performances would have made him a frontrunner for the Ballon d'Or. Let's take a closer look at those years and the actual winners of the award during that period. 1958. This was the year Pele truly announced himself on the world stage. At just 17 years old, he led Brazil to their first World Cup victory, scoring 6 goals in the tournament, including a hat-trick in the semifinals and 2 goals in the final. The actual Ballon d'Or that year went to Raymond Kopa, a French playmaker who had a great season with Real Madrid. But realistically, could anyone seriously argue against Pele being the rightful winner, considering his historic World Cup performance? 1961. By this time, Pele was already considered the best player in the world. In 1961, he scored a staggering 110 goals in all competitions for Santos and Brazil, leading his club to several major titles. The Ballon d'Or that year went to Italian striker Omar Sivori, but Pele's remarkable goal-scoring exploits and dominance in South American football would surely have made him the favorite had he been eligible. 1962, another World Cup year, and once again, Pele was at the forefront of Brazil's success. Although an injury cut his tournament short, his performances prior to that and his club form with Santos, where he won the Copa Libertadores and International Cup. The Ballon d'Or that year went to Josef Maspot, a Czech defender. But Pele's contributions, even in a shortened World Cup campaign, would have made him a strong contender. 1963, Santos dominated world football, with Pele leading the charge. He scored twice in the final of the Intercontinental Cup, cementing Santos' place as the best club in the world. While Lev Yashin, the legendary Soviet goalkeeper, won the Ballon d'Or that year, Pele's international and club success would have likely seen him pick up the award for his second or third award by now. 1970. Perhaps Pele's most iconic year. At 29 years of age, Pele led Brazil to what many considered the greatest World Cup triumph in history. His performances were nothing short of legendary, as Brazil swept through the tournament, with Pele scoring 4 goals and assisting several more, including a memorable display in the final against Italy. The Ballon d'Or that year went to Gerd Müller, the prolific German striker. But given the scale of Pele's World Cup success, it's hard to imagine him not winning the award in 1970. Pele's peak years from 1958 to 1970 were filled with individual brilliance, club success, and international glory. In total, Pele could have realistically won the Ballon d'Or in 5 or more different years, depending on the competition and the voting at the time. While Pele would have undoubtedly been a favorite in many of those years, it's important to consider the competition. Players like Johan Cruyff, George Best, and Eusebio were all at their peak during some of Pele's prime years. These players were iconic in their own right and would provide stiff competition for the Ballon d'Or. Take Johan Cruyff, for example. His revolutionary style of play and leadership of Ajax in the late 1960s and early 1970s would have made him a fierce rival for Pele, especially in the years like 1971 or 1973, where Cruyff's brilliance dominated European football. Similarly, George Best's magical 1968 season with Manchester United might have challenged Pele for the award that year. However, Pele's unique combination of skill, longevity, and success on the international stage would have likely set him apart. His ability to perform at the highest level for both club and country over such a long period would have made him a clear favorite in several key years. While players like Cruyff and Best had shorter peaks, Pele's sustained excellence would have likely given him the edge in many head-to-head battles for the Ballon d'Or. So how many Ballon d'Ors would Pele have won if the rules allowed him to compete? Based on his performances, it's safe to say that Pele would have won at least 4, if not more, Ballon d'Ors during his career. His standout years, 1958, 1961, 1962, 1963, and 1970, were filled with unforgettable moments and unparalleled success. He was a player who transcended the sport, and had he been eligible, his tally of Ballon d'Ors might rival against the greatest players of today. But here's the thing, Pele's legacy doesn't need trophies to define it. He is, and always will be, one of the greatest footballers of all time. His impact on the game is immeasurable, and the fact that he never had a chance to win the Ballon d'Or only adds to the mystique of his career. As we look back at Pele's legacy, it's clear that awards and accolades were just a small part of what makes a player truly great. For Pele, the magic was always in the way he played the game, and that's something no trophy can fully capture. If you enjoyed this exploration of Pele's hypothetical Ballon d'Or wins, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment below with your thoughts. How many Ballon d'Ors do you think Pele would have won? I'm Aiden Castro. See you tomorrow.